From the Shooting from the Lip studio in Louisville, Kentucky, it's the KT Unearthly Show with your hosts, Kevin Hale and Tiffany Mack.
What is up, everyone? Kevin Hale up in this Shooting from the Lip studio from the south side of town. Hooking it up tonight with my paranormal Pop-Tart, Tiffany Mack, who's on the east side of town in her little studio. T-Mac, what's up?
Hey, how's it going? You ready to have a roller coaster of conspiracy?
There's so much conspiracies that
I know. Especially during election time. There's all this crazy stuff starts happening.
Right. Election time, Kentucky State Fair time. There's probably conspiracies over there at the fair.
How big the bullfrogs are this year.
Exactly. Somebody is fucking around with the judges and judging the cow and pie. Those contests.
They're bullfrogs
exactly.
Steroids.
Somebody's cow is already won it, and they're just waiting to. So, and they're probably getting the cow's probably the bull or whatever. Was it? Is it a male cow? Is that a bull?
Duh.
I don't know. Anyways, they're probably getting their
testosterone
man juice of that, and their man juice sucked right out of them too for government conspiracy. Yeah. Yes, it's a conspiracy show tonight. Chris Elias and Deano Burke, who preside over the X Files, and that's X-PHILES Facebook page, where they talk about conspiracies, government stuff, ufology, everything that has a crooked way about it. They like to talk about it. So that's our thing tonight. That is our thing. Social media. Subscribe to our show on iTunes and YouTube. Twitter at The Shooting Lip. My Twitter at Kevin Hale 423. Tiffany is at Tiffany Mac _ET. You can like us, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, Shooting from the Lip. And we do have a Facebook page as well for the show, the KT Unearthly Show. Tonight, live via Blog Talk Radio. Kicking off the show, Tiff, we do our TK foreplay, which is a little first paranormal take. I don't know if it's per se paranormal, but I think pyramids were built back in the day by they might have been built by the people, but they were blueprinted and instructed by a higher power. And I think that higher power came from a different planet. But getting back to the pyramid thing, it was discovered recently in Kazakhstan or whatever. People think Egypt is when it comes to pyramids, but they just discovered a pyramid in Kazakhstan, which they're saying is about 3,000 years old, which is a pretty long freaking time. Yeah. What's your take on the whole pyramid thing?
So like 7,000 years or 7,500 years?
No, it was built more than 3,000 years ago. 3,000 years ago, yes. Right. Or are you questioning me?
Well, because I just watched something today that said that, some of the pyramids were being built 4,500 years ago. Well, if it was 3,000 years before that would put it at 7,500. So that's even a little bit of a stretch for us, but maybe I'm misinterpreting.
Maybe.
Good question or no?
It's a good question.
Maybe.
I think I buy the whole ancient astronaut.
Go ahead and explain, and then we'll work from there. How's that?
I buy into the whole ancient astronaut theory when it comes to pyramids, the precision of these structures. Yes, probably humans or people back in the day did it, but the whole logistics of how it was done, you can't you cannot tell me based on the equipment or lack of equipment that the brothers and sisters had back in the day that these guys could have pulled it off. I don't buy into that. So, and modern mainstream archaeologists, will swear that no, these people back in the day with their little chisel and hammers somehow, some way pulled this off. So.
Well, okay. Well, on the other side of the token, maybe we don't give them enough credit. Maybe they had an understanding that we didn't realize.
Well, no, I'm not giving them as far as intelligence, but it doesn't make sense to me with the lack. I mean, there's pyramids or ancient structures that are, if you look at them, it's like in some cases there's probably like laser technology that was involved to pull this off. It's how it would have to have been done today. You're on me.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I'm on high. Yeah, definitely. I think that there's a lot of thing going on right now that maybe even prove that we've been visited and educated by a higher intelligence than we are, and that's actually shown us different forms of utensils and measuring instruments and things like that some very, very basic tools that we know are used. There may have been more that we don't fully know the extent of, but it's a matter of investigation. There's a lot of people investigating it. It's always a big question whether this or that was 4,000 years old. Well, we know that humanity was around before then, and there's lots and lots of pyramids that are popping up all around the earth. It's not like Egypt has the oldest. There's new places that are being found all over the earth. And think about China. Like, China has a lot of these different pyramids that are being discovered through satellite and things like that may be even older. But the Chinese, they really do protect their information. And
they're hoarders. That's what you would call hoarders.
But it's not just them. I mean, it's how far do you want to go down that rabbit hole and discover? And nobody wants to share the information. It's like, come on, let's get together. Let's figure it out. Let's see where all of these pyramids are and see what the relationship is. I think that there's a lot of things that we can go into tonight, but that's. I guess I should stop. How's that?
No, I'm with you. You're right about China. And what is it seriously, when it comes to our planet, there's over 50% of the planet that's yet to be discovered or, looked at, investigated, or that's, never been touched. It's just because it's not accessible, to your point, with technology, satellites, and, now probably more than ever drones, that a lot of shit is going to start getting discovered. And
I absolutely.
Right as in I'm right, or right as in?
No, absolutely, you're right. Especially with all the different technology that is becoming more available to the average person. We are, we're using drones on a daily basis and looking over, and I mean, that's the simple stuff when it comes to regular little commuter drones. When you're talking about the big stuff, if we have access to the footage and information, it's going to really break down some walls and barriers that have been placed out there for, most of the past 50 years. It's there. It's coming.
It is there. The answers are there. We just got to know where to look and or how to ask. With that said, let's go on and jump into our show tonight. Tonight is all about conspiracies, government conspiracies, UFO conspiracies. Talking some real life X-Files stuff here, Tiffany. You ready to do this, T-Mac?
I am.
Let me bring on
absolutely.
bring on a buddy of mine, Deano Burke, who is part of the X-Files Facebook group page. Deano, what's up, brother?
Hey, how we doing, guys?
Doing good.
We're doing good.
Good. Sitting here listening to your monologue, enjoying it. I think Tiffany's onto the right thing. I'll tell you what, I think you're in line with something here too. That probably a good thing to start off with for everybody tonight too. Is I don't think our real history has ever actually been taught to any of us properly.
Right.
I think it's actually been kind of kept from us if you really look at it. I mean, realistically, what 4,000 years ago? How are they moving some of these blocks, you guys? I mean, really?
Right.
They're trying to say what's with making makeshift rollers and slaves and all this. Come on, and then precision cut that kind of stuff. No, there's no way. There's no way.
You mean moving like a 200-ton block from one location to another?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep. From some
Horseback,
of those quarries that
camel,
were hundreds of miles away. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were hundreds of miles away. Some of those quarries that they were supposed to be getting them out of and everything too. There's no way.
And if you research too, some of those locations that these structures were built, the elevation was so high where supposedly no trees existed. So where in the hell did So yeah, it's. And you're right. It's a nice little segue into our conversation here because the truth is somebody does know the answer to how.
And unfortunately, it's not us.
It's not us. Whether it's the Vatican,
what it is.
Yeah. And but tonight we welcome you, Deano. We're hoping Chris. I've messaged him. I don't know if you've talked to him, but hopefully Chris Elias will be able to join us and talk to. But I know Deano will be in good hands with you. We'll have a good time with this. Share with us what you can, your background bio when it comes to the Facebook group page.
This particular page itself, I was getting ready to start one of my own under a kind of like a preppers, pandemics, and conspiracies kind of site at one point in time. And I shortly after I had hooked up with Chris, I kind of showed him this site and everything too. And he says, "Oh, hang on a second, I got something similar started." And he showed me this one here. And I was kind of like, wow, this is pretty cool. So we kept going from this route then on this one. And then I changed the preppers page over and kind of moved a lot of that stuff out of it and started putting it all into this X-Files one over here for the conspiracies and everything. And just been loving it ever since. We got a lot of good input from a lot of the members that are on here. There's a guy out there named Jimbo. I don't know if he's listening tonight or not, but he's got a bunch of really cool things that he'll put up on occasion, and Karen and quite a few others. Chris has got quite a few that he put up here the last few days too that are pretty interesting and everything too. But yeah, it's been a good site. It's been a really good site, a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun being able to be on here and kind of look over some of the things that a lot of people on the site and everything have been able to post. And haven't had a lot of chance in the last week. I just got back from Squatch Country myself here, so at least to kind of sort through everything that's been on there and maybe make some comments and things like that. But I've seen it. I'll hit like real quick, and I'll come back later here and start digging through some of it too myself. So you can see how it goes.
Hold that thought. Well, before you were just doing the Sasquatch thing.
I was up in Squatch Country. Yep.
Where at?
Way up in northern Michigan, off the lake.
We have some Sasquatch country down here near us, about 30 minutes away.
Where are you at again, out of curiosity?
We're in Louisville, Kentucky, but we're thinking that there's some not too far from us. We've got a few preserves that are close that have had some action lately.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Oh, I'm sure that they're out there, too, especially if they know that there's not a lot of human contact that are coming through. Mm-hmm. I'm a firm believer. From the day that I was from the second I could realize what was happening, I knew that something was different. When I was pretty fortunate to be able to grow up the way that I did off of the lake area, kind of up there. And I can remember as a kid going down in the mornings, and we'd go down looking for Petoskey stones along Lake Michigan. This was kind of like a small, what is it? Sort of like a fossil kind of rock that you can pick up, and they're native to that whole area. But we'd be looking for rocks as kids and things like that, and I would see these massive footprints. And they were just walking along, like right where the water would meet the sand when the water was real calm in the morning. And I remember looking at the size of these prints thinking, my God, this has got to be like somebody bigger than Michael Jordan. just walking along the edge of this and leaving these bare footprints along. And as a kid, you didn't really know, but I just remember thinking, my God, this is huge. And every so often I'd see a couple of rocks and some shells. And if you really think about it, I was looking, it was like they would take a crayfish and they would smash it on another rock and eat whatever was in there and leave the shells, or like a freshwater mussel. And then the footprints would keep on going. And then usually within maybe about an hour or so, as the water would start to, get a little bit more active for the day, it would wash those footprints away where nobody could see them anymore. But they would travel these right along the shorelines like that in the morning looking for food. And it was just, it started with things like that as a kid that I just became a firm believer. At one point, it took me a little while till I got later, till a little bit later on when I realized exactly what this was that was happening, that we were actually being watched as kids and sort of followed when we were playing in the woods and stuff like that, where they would be off, chucking little rocks and stuff like that at you and not realizing that this is what it was all about. But they were out there watching us, and it was great. It was absolutely great, and I got a chance to go back there again just a couple days ago. But, so it's been fun.
Were they playful? Were they, just sort of trying to see how you would react?
I think it was more it was pretty much more like that. I do remember one time as kids, a friend of mine and I, we were kind of just running around back in the woods, and we got pelted by a couple of rocks, and we were kind of thinking to ourselves, where's this coming? We're the only kids for like miles. I mean, realistically, we were the only ones that were up there. So it would have had to have been like somebody that would have been at least 21 or over. And realistically, I can't foresee them, whipping rocks at little kids walking down the embankments and,
right.
on the sand and things like that. It just wasn't any way. But we did look up a couple of times up into the tree line, and you could see, I remember it looked like there was almost like an animal, like a real kind of like a medium brownish, and it would sort of like, I almost want to say like you could see a little bit of it on each side of like a tree sitting there, and it appeared to be like something that was like breathing from behind there. And I remember looking over at my friend, and I said, what do you think that is? And he says, it's probably just maybe a bear cub or something. We were thinking at first, you know what I mean? We were just kids, we didn't know. So we just took off real quick and didn't realize until later what the actual height of that was. And it could have actually been almost something similar to, let's say, like a juvenile kid, like leaning up against the back of a tree, sitting there breathing, in hopes that they weren't being seen or trying to sort of hide behind a tree. It was really interesting stuff as a kid. And I think that's where a lot of this kind of stuff sort of came from for me to sort of start getting into a little bit. People look at you and they say, oh, you're crazy. But you know what? At the same point, if you're back east, they talk about it. But when you're out here in Las Vegas, everybody talks about Area 51. So I guess we're even,
Nice segue, Deano. It's like you're tapping into my cranium. Tell us, you do have a connection with Area 51. What is it?
I got in trouble out there. You really want to hear that story, do you?
Oh, yes.
Oh, hell yeah. Top it up. The juicier the better.
You were out
years ago after,
in the desert.
Right. I think like years ago, okay, I'll give you some fun stuff here too that's kind of got me out here. Part of the conspiracy stuff too, you ever believe in reincarnation and things along those lines, I always sort of felt that there was like sort of something that was pulling me west. I never understood why necessarily. So one day I just decided I was just going to up and go. There wasn't really a whole lot of work back east at the time. I kind of thought, maybe I'll sort of start it out as a vacation. As I sort of progressed, I got out a little bit further and looked into things. I started realizing more things were more familiar to me as I got further west, and I had no clue why, and I'd never been here at all whatsoever. One thing that I didn't realize until I got into I want to say Colorado-ish, somewhere in that area, I started seeing like rock formations that looked really familiar. I'd never seen pictures of. I stopped, I want to say somewhere around Buffalo Bill's grave, I think it was, just because, I was by myself. I was like, hey, why not? I'll go take a look at this, for something to do. And I got out, and I remember going on over, and I was looking at the grave site and everything else, and then something told me, head back, follow towards, there's a trail that's back in the woods that you're not going to see right here. So I kind of meandered a little bit, and I walked on over, and sure enough, there was a trail. It looked like a little foot trail that had kind of been worn through the woods a little bit. And something was telling me, go back there, and you're going to see something really cool. And I started walking back, and I came up to the edge of this great big huge canyon where like the trees just stopped, and you could overlook this huge area. It was like almost like a picturesque version of like sort of like the Grand Canyon that you could go to that nobody would stop you from going to, where you could go on up, sit on the edge, hang your feet over, and look out at all of this and just be in awe. And for some reason, I knew that was there, and I had never been there in my entire life. So I stayed out west purposely to try and figure out what some of this stuff was, why it kept happening. So at some point later on, again, the way I ran into Area 51 was kind of within this same vein. I sort of told a girlfriend that I had at the time some of my story, and she was sort of interested, and she says, you know what, let's, if you ever get an impulse, let's go take a drive. And I said, okay. So one day we got in the car, and we started heading out towards, Highway 375. They call it the extraterrestrial highway for fun out here. And we were kind of heading out this way. We had just gotten past the turnoff, and I told her, I said, do me a favor. I said, stop. And she kind of looks at me and she says, what? She goes, you got to go to the bathroom? You know what I mean? You got to pee? You know, and she's like, there's nobody out here. You know, we're just kind of making jokes. And I said, no, something's odd about this and that I can't put a finger on. So I said, do me a favor and stop. And she says, okay. So she pulls over, and I get out of the car, and I'm looking around, and I climbed up this mesa that was right up there off to the side of the road. So I get enough, and it's kind of flat, and I'm looking around for a second, and I was thinking, you know, something is kind of vaguely familiar. So I walked on the other side, and I come up on the next one. And at this point, she's following me down in the car, and she gets out, and she comes on up, and she says, what are you doing? You know, you're crazy. What's going on? What's going on? I said, hang on a second. I'm telling you something. I've been here. And she says, what are you talking about? This first time we've ever been here. I said, I know. I said, but I'm telling you, I have been here. And she's like, no. And so I'm kind of thinking about it, and I opened my eyes again, and I looked out at this little, kind of like a little bit of a valley that was out behind this. And I could totally picture this at some point where there was like a dirt 2-track that was going through there where had like, say, like some wagon trains and stuff had meandered through. Like it was just kind of like an area that would have been perfect for this. You know, it wasn't there now, but I'm saying like I could picture it, you know what I mean, from back in the day. And I'm like, wait a second, somebody is here. And I turned around and I looked over on the edge of this, and there was a grave that was there. And I don't know how I ever found this. There was like this little rock grave, as if like, you know, like the settlers and stuff, they would make like a shallow grave
like
and cover
them
with rocks. And
like a mound over top of grave? Yep. Okay.
Yep, exactly, like a really old one. And I remember looking at this, and I was like, "Oh my God, I know who this person is," but I couldn't figure out who it was. I'm just saying I know this person. And she saw this at the same. Yeah, she saw this, and she was like shaking. She was like, "You got to be kidding me!" And I said, "No." I said, "I don't." You know, it all happened in the same day, that and the Area 51 experience, but because we were going out there, and and we were just looking at this like, "You got to be kidding me." And she was like, how did you know this was here? I said, I have no idea. And realistically, I've tried to go back and find it again, and I couldn't at this point. I've tried 2 other occasions to go and find it, and I couldn't. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things all of a sudden out of the blue where I was kind of like, wow, I didn't know how I knew I'd been here or anything else. So we went down to the little, the little Alien Inn. It's double wide out in the middle of nowhere, which sits on the edge of the Nevada test site out there, right where the grass starts growing again after they set off the nuclear bomb. So, you know, kind of bizarre looking. And while we were there was nobody in there, and we start looking around at some of their little paraphernalia and things like that. And there's like French camera crews that come in, and they start walking around, and they're talking, and we're like, where are all these people coming from? There's no cars or anything else. So she says, maybe they're out back UFO watching. So we waited like 15 minutes for a beer because there was, you know, and they served you a beer in a can or something or whatever. And we got, you know, the danger falling alien sign and stuff, and just kind of had a laugh looking at everything. So we went back and went on one of the little 2-tracks again, big mistake, and started heading back on one of these thinking maybe all these people were out there UFO watching. Well, we're cruising along, and it's probably about dusk, and it appears that maybe there's like a train or a train car, like a box car or something, sitting off in the distance out here in the middle of the desert. And I'm kind of like, what the heck is that? And she says, I don't know. She says, it does kind of look like a train, doesn't it? Let's keep going. So apparently as we're heading that direction, there's some gigantic field goal posts that are coming up from behind us, which we didn't even know because you can't see this in the dusk. They're coming up from behind us. We've tripped something, And we're getting closer and closer to this train car, and then all of a sudden it was like, snap. It was daylight out. And we were like, what in the heck? And these apparently was some type of lighting system that they had that would trip off on this roadway that we were coming back on. And it comes up, and there it was, a great big huge sign about deadly force allowed beyond this point and everything else. And we were like, oh crap, we're in deep shit. And it was a guard shack. It wasn't a train car. So they come out, and we've got M16s pointed at us, and they're like tearing the car open, and they've pulled us both out. We had to bend over, crack a smile. They took our camera, they took our all of our film. You know, they tore all the bags and stuff apart from the stuff we had just bought down the street. He says, "What are you doing back here?" And I said, "I'm looking for Pizza Hut." And he's like, "Don't you be a smart ass with me." You know?
Pizza Hut.
He's like, "You'll disappear out here, you little shit." And I was like, "Okay, whatever you say." You know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We will.
Yes, sir. No, sir. He's like, "I want you to turn this car around. I want you to head back down there as fast as you can go and don't ever come back." And we said, "Okay."
Here's the
no
problem you did. Here's the problem. You should have said, "I don't know where I am. Please direct me to the nearest Thornton's gas station." You totally screwed up. Pizza Hut? Come on, man. You should have said, "We're almost out of gas and we don't know where we are."
I'm thinking that's probably Papa John's country, so that was your first screw up.
That was your first screw up, yes.
Well,
I know.
Papa John's.
Yeah. But
that was
for
crazy.
the record,
that was the craziest thing.
you live to talk about it, which is good for us. Because we couldn't have the show tonight, Dino, if something bad would have happened that night. So obviously, you've had your Area 51 episode, real life experience. What is Area 51 to you?
I think now more than anything, I think it may have originally began as one thing, and I think it is now another. I think now it's more a conceptual aircraft test area. But I know that they still have the 26 levels underground, along with the missile base that's out in New Mexico still that they're using. And is it White Sands, I think it is, or is that California? But there's like 3 of them that are out here. And I know that there was a bunch of stuff that was maneuvered between all of them, but I know that they're all tied by underground tunnels and stuff too at some point, you know, underneath. But I think it may have been one thing at one time where maybe they did have some of the alien craft and all that kind of stuff that everybody's been talking about. But I think most of that's been moved over at Wright Air Force, Wright-Patterson, let's say in Ohio. Right. And I think they've kept a lot of the physical technology as far as that goes, the reverse engineering and things like that, where they've come up with the new designs for the aircraft and things, and they've worked it out here, you know. So, and I tend to think that that's more what's going on there now than anything, you know, because there's too many people out there looking for stuff now, and there's also more secret areas that people don't know about. There's literally underground landing strips and all kinds of stuff.
No. What about the DUMBs? I mean, you've got your deep underground military bases that are, saturated through that area.
Oh yeah, exactly, and that's definitely one of them. It's at least 26 levels underground over there.
Right.
There are some people that I've run into over time that have been out there, and they've told me a couple things that but that it does, some things do exist, and there are some things they've gotten into, and some things that they couldn't tell you, at the same time, and some really bizarre things that have happened when they've gone further out in the test site and found some really bizarre looking results and things along those lines. But it's been kind of interesting though, one way or the other though, to have that at least out here on the outskirts of Las Vegas. And they keep trying to pursue in closer to town. At the same time, they want to keep taking up a little more land, and Clark County keeps fighting them over this. And apparently they're trying to take some cabins and stuff that are out there too, that were able to look over the base and things like that. And actually one of the cabins they just took, the people that were in that, they were the ones that discovered the underground landing strip that's out there. It all of a sudden, you can look out into the horizon and you can use telescopes and everything else, and you won't see anything but just dust and dirt until, let's say, like nighttime. All of a sudden, you'll see something. It'll be coming in, let's say like an airplane, for instance, and you have to watch it real close. and all of a sudden you'll see something will like light up. It'll literally light up like a big old runway, and you'll see this thing land real fast, and then the lights go off, and the whole entire thing is completely gone. And you can hit it with infrared, or not infrared, but the night vision, and all that stuff is gone. It's like these lights pop up. It'll land, and then it'll literally get sunk like underneath the ground, and there's nothing left of it. No trace, nothing out there. You could like fly overhead, or the satellites could go overhead, and you won't see any of this stuff at all. But that 2 seconds of it when something comes down and lands. And there's a whole bunch of that kind of stuff that's out here in Las Vegas. Actually, J.L. Pardue, I don't know if you remember her or not, from the, was it Fact or Fake or something like that? She was out here.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say about a year and a half ago, too, and she did a whole thing on it, too, out there. And she got in a lot of trouble out there, too.
Oh, really?
Chased off. And it kind of interesting.
I know Dulce is the underground base. It's in New Mexico, correct?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that is New Mexico.
Yeah. Is there, and that supposedly is a whole other several levels of underground living space where supposedly there's different aliens that are down there. To your knowledge, and Tiffany, you might know the answer to this too, does Dulce connect with Area 51 underground? Does it go that far or deep?
I would say that a lot of these bases, okay, first of all, Dulce is described as the Area 51, where the U.S. government's in collaboration with an evil alien race, and they keep locked away their enemies in this book, I Am Number 4, like the movie, and it's an interesting scenario. It sounds like there's been a few people who have outed the base and the connection with the alien races that are using it. I mean, my gosh, I don't know. What are you supposed to think? I haven't been there. Have you been there? Other than
I personally haven't.
Schneider is, Mr. Schneider is one of the ones that has really come out and he claims to have been in a battle there. Mm-hmm. But, other than that, I don't really know. I mean, I know that there are underground bases, deep underground military bases, the DUMBs, but I don't know what goes on there. Do you?
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I had heard a little bit about it, but I haven't really touched on it. I know that there's a lot of everything that's connected by underground tunnels that are throughout here.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. One of the guys that worked out there at Area 51, the one thing that I can at least confirm without probably getting myself in trouble too, is some of those, you've heard about every so often, they keep hearing those underground booms and the explosions and things along those lines that have been happening kind of all over the country. It's a tunnel system that's actually being built in order to interconnect a whole bunch of stuff. Part of it is part of their tunnel digger that they're using, and because it'll start at a certain point and they'll hear it and it'll begin again at another point, and then eventually within, let's say, like a month or so's time. I don't know how fast this thing actually moves specifically, but it's tunneling. It's literally tunneling under tons of stuff. There's so many tunnels that are underneath here that nobody even has a clue about. And I'll be honest with you, I can't trust I wouldn't trust the government as far as you can throw it. The worst thing that you could ever possibly think of, and as far-fetched as you could possibly think of, realistically, they probably have their dirty little hands in it. And I'm just being real. Mm-hmm. I mean, people, they can laugh and joke and say, oh, no, there's nothing about aliens and all that. I'll be honest with you. They probably are in touch with about 15 different races of them as far as we know. Yeah, Wait, I'm just being real. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They're just got their hands in everything, but all of that stuff is connected underground by tunnels.
Okay, wait, you're not talking about, like, there's two different types of booms that I'm thinking of. You've got the strange booms in more Central America or Central North America, or like on the East Coast, there's these Seneca guns or these strange booms over there. You're not saying that those are two different things, correct?
No, they're it's
or do
like,
you think that they're connected?
They're connected. It's all connected in one way or another. It's underground tunneling systems that they've been working on for years. Yeah, they've got some that go down way beyond what, the bunker busters and all that kind of stuff could even achieve. I mean, yeah, there's that's part of how they found out about that underground ocean that we've got. And if they just kept going and going at some different points, that's another thing too. Another conspiracy I have about water. What's up with water these days? You got flooding in one part of the country, you got the other part that's just so dehydrated nobody knows what's going on. Tell me somebody's not getting screwed here. In this day and age, there's no reason why anybody should be without water. If you got all this stuff going on in Louisiana, all that stuff should be going right into Lake Mead or somewhere out in Georgia, where they were drying up, or these other places. There's got to be some way to pipe all this stuff out of there when it floods. I mean, don't tell me that there's not. You know what I mean? I know that they know how to get it out.
Digging into the whole, some more conspiracy stuff. Deano Burke is with us. He's with the X-Files Facebook group page. Now, Deano, on your all's page, share with us one of your favorite or best conspiracy theories that seem to resonate.
On this one here, I'm scrolling this one here because I know that there's a couple that were up here a little while back. Chris actually posted one up here the other day, which was kind of funny. We were having fun with him about it. He put one up about I guess it was some hieroglyphics, and it looked like an alien ship and a couple of aliens on each side and stuff like that. And we were having fun with him about it, making jokes. But if you ever watch some of these hieroglyphics that are out there, if you really look at some of these, and I don't even have a clue what half of them are even saying or what they read. I couldn't even tell you what it, but if you watch some of the paintings, it kind of goes from one direction to this direction, and it, top to bottom and everything else, and it sort of reads as a story, I guess, is how they interpret it. But when you start looking at some of these decipherings and some of the items that they painted, if you sort of look at it and you just kind of open your mind and look at it a little bit different, you start seeing people with, like, some of the pharaohs with great big huge heads, and then you start seeing, like, creatures that were flying. Then you start seeing, let's say, like, I don't want to say rockets, but something similar, things like that, rockets or some type of flying craft and things along those lines that happen a lot, and it seems to be like a normal thing, but they didn't know how to describe it necessarily, so this was their interpretations of it. And if you take it even a step further, some of the cave paintings, as you start going into things like maybe like the Hopi Indians, they've got things that decipher almost what could appear to be aliens wearing spacesuits and things like that too. But this was their only way that they knew how to describe it, was in their paintings and everything that they've left behind to us. You know what I mean? Yeah, I enjoy a lot of that kind of stuff, and it's and I think that's some of the stuff that actually stands out most to me, was that people, I think, back in the past were really trying to tell us something or describe something or tell us a story of what was happening, and they couldn't put it in our words today, but they put it in their words of the day, let's say. And unless we really understand what it was that they were, what they were trying to speak back then, will we really understand what's happening today? And I'll be honest with you, I think somebody somewhere knows, and we don't have a clue where we've actually come from, or realistically what's actually happened to bring us to where we're at now.
I'm totally on board. Sounds like you buy into the whole ancient astronaut theory as well.
Oh, heck yeah.
I was going to say, don't say, well, when you say, well, you know what, I'm going to call you out there, Deano. You said, oh, God, yeah. Who's God? Who or what? No, right now, seriously, who or what is God?
The Bible's a conspiracy?
What did you say, Tiffany?
Could be conspiratorial.
Okay.
I'm not talking the Bible. I'm talking God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
who is God? Who created him?
Who or what is God? Yeah.
Right.
Ooh,
not exactly. You, Tiffany. Deano.
Okay. I'll keep quiet.
Yeah, exactly. Who is he? Who could he be? Who created him? And how did he come about?
Why is he a he?
Well, exactly. It could be a she, for all we know.
Tiffany, that goes without saying. Just know your role.
Bite your tongue.
I've known a few females I wanted to call God a few times, but
Kevin, walk lightly. Very careful.
Kevin, God, Kevin, same sentence. Kind of sounds okay.
There
Tiffany,
you go.
I'll buy into that theory. Let's go. All right, we'll move the whole God thing.
I'm surprised I haven't gotten
Tiffany.
5 messages already saying be careful.
Be careful. Tiffany, what's some of your favorite conspiracies? Let's get that out there so get Deano's input.
Oh, geez Louise. I guess, yeah, you go first if you have one in mind.
I do, and it's the big one to me.
Okay, go for it.
9/11, Deano. September 11, 2001.
Yeah,
That
that's what.
I'm gonna go back in time. I remember it was in 2001. My son was 4 years
8
old.
o'clock a.m.
It was closer to 9.
Closer to 9.
But
Yeah,
that
8 o'clock
night,
before I thought.
we're home, and obviously everyone's watching TV and watching all the shit play out. But I just the one thing I will always remember from that day is my 4-year-old son at the time was in tears, scared, trembling, and his mother, my ex-wife, was holding him, and he was scared because he was afraid the world was coming to an end. And that hurt me and pissed me off in several levels. And and then you're blaming. Obviously, you're thinking, okay, some crazy terrorists have come in. What is it? Bin Laden, and this is all originated
It didn't
from.
have to do with Bin Laden.
Well, and that's from 2001 till now, listening to stories, theories, Jesse Ventura, I'm starting to buy into the notion that this could have been an inside job. Bush may not have been involved, but war is all about money.
Money.
There are people on our side of the fence, meaning in the U.S., that would sacrifice, whether it's one or in this case 3,000 people, to get themselves in a position to make billions of dollars in a war. So Dino, that's probably the more passionate conspiracy that I've kind of come to know now. What's your take, seriously,
Well,
on
and that's
9/11?
millions of people in America wondering the same thing.
Well,
Right.
yeah,
You're not alone.
No, I know, and I get that. I think now more than ever, there's a lot of people more open-minded to someone within has screwed over a lot of people for monetary purposes, for gain. But Dino, share with us your thoughts.
When it first happened, I think it was one of those moments where what was it, I think it was the JFK moment for everybody, where they stopped and they thought, where was I when this happened, or
Exactly.
Diana moment, where was I when this happened, kind of thing. I know I was in Michigan, and I was in an office building where I had worked. The girl called me in and said, "Hey, quick, we're under attack. Come in here." And she turned the TV on, and we all came in, and we're all standing there just with our jaws on the ground in awe, watching this. Everybody nobody really knew what was going on yet, and all planes being grounded, and all the information coming through. And we watched the first building come down. And I think we all just stood there in awe, thinking to ourselves, my God, I can't believe that something like this could actually be pulled off, much less all the people and everything that's going on. And the first thing everybody felt was anger, hate, and how bad they wanted to get whoever it was that did this. And watching this further, and then the next one hits. And this time we got a chance to see it because they had all their cameras and everything trained on this. And
Right.
I'd been in Las Vegas at the time and seen a couple of these implosions already. At this point, I saw the dunes go down and a couple others already. The second one went in, and I don't know how much longer after that. And then all of a sudden, that building went down, and I saw the zipper come up from the bottom, just like it does from a demolition out here in Las Vegas. And there's a lot of people that are like, oh, jet fuel this and all this, and they've got all of that stuff. All I know is, if you've ever seen one, you know that this is what it is. And I stood there. I remember standing there looking at this, and I said, who's demolishing the buildings? And this girl, her name was Peggy, or her name was Becky, and she looks over and she says, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "They just took it down with an airplane." I said, "They're not designed to go down by an airplane." And then little by little, you're starting to see some of the people come out. And I was listening to the maintenance guys that are coming out. They're running out of these buildings, and they're saying there's small explosions going all the way on up to the towers. And we're listening to this, and I'm thinking, are you kidding me? And apparently they're talking about small little explosions that are internal ones that are going all the way up the ladders and stuff on the insides at the same time. And they were running out, and they're telling everybody they don't know what's going on, and hear these things come down. And then we find out later, all of a sudden, there was construction crews that were in there for about maybe roughly 6 months prior to that. And then there's also 24-hour moving crews that are in there too at the same time. And that the paint actually contained nanothermite. that was inside of it, and they started using that approximately a year and a half prior. So they would be there up after midnight on their graveyard crews painting some of these places for people to come on in and move all their offices in while another one was moving out, and they're clearing it out and repainting it again. Inside the paint also had the nanothermite, which also is like a military grade type of not fire retardant, but it makes fire burn hotter, basically. So if you add this to a fire or somehow incorporate this into a fire, it burns hotter and longer and more fierce, and it does things to normal objects like melting steel and things along those lines to make it at a hotter temperature than what it normally should be. And then they took all that debris and got it all out somewhere as fast as they could, and it was completely scrapped off, and nobody could ever look at it again or touch it or feel it or see it or investigate it or anything else. It stunk. From the second that I saw this thing go down, I said, something's not right about this. That second one that went down as soon as I saw that. And then World Trade Center, the lady from BBC was standing right there reporting that it went down, and it hadn't been down. It wasn't even there. She's standing right in front of the thing, standing up, reporting it's going down, and it didn't go down. I'm like, really? You know what I mean?
I'm thinking, when I heard that story, I'm thinking, man, we are on a huge time delay from what she's saying.
Right. Yeah.
That was
my first thought. I'm like, no, if everything's live, there's no way.
Exactly. In your opinion, with something like this, if this was an inside job, how long would something like this have to have been planned? We're talking years.
I think they came up with Operation Northwoods in the 1960s, and Operation Northwoods is exactly everything that is happening today. And I'm being real. They came up with this plan sometime in the 60s. What they wanted to do was to try and create some type of terrorist events, some school shootings, flying some remote-controlled planes, believe it or not, remote-controlled planes, they said, even in the paperwork itself from the 60s, into buildings and blame it all on Cuba so that they could go on in and take over Cuba, remove the regime. They were pissed off at the time about everything that was going on over there, and see what they couldn't do to try and get the entire country to rally around them to go in. They've been working on this ever since. Kennedy fired the guy that did this, but they kept working on it after that. And every single time you see something else that's going, these school shootings and all this other stuff, they're using bits and pieces of this stuff as far as their agenda to drive things away from people to gun control and all this other kind of crap. Every single opportunity that they think that they can use and use it to twist it and put it against you and me, or to use that to instill the fear for us to go, oh, yeah, we got to get behind this and get rid of the guns, and we got to get rid of the terrorist or let the terrorist in or whatever they want to do. This is what they'll use, is bits and pieces of this stuff, constantly. You think they crap with bin Laden? I mean, realistically? Bin Laden was in a cave on dialysis the whole entire time? No. Let's be real, and he's conducting armies all over the world. Come on. He's down in the Bahamas probably right now anyway, still on their payroll. That's why there's no pictures or anything else. Oh, yeah, we killed him, we dumped him off the ship. Come on, give me a break.
Okay. Okay, I've got to say something here, guys. I was actually working on a NATO base in Greece at this time as a contractor for the DoD, and I will tell you that what I was told at the time was, why kill the head of a group? Better the devil you know than the devil you don't. So the whole purpose was to find out all the information that you can about this one person, all of the players in the pack of cards that we were dealt. I don't see that as being a smart move. They wanted to find out everything they can. They want to be able to know the controller of these other groups. Why would they? That doesn't make any sense. They know exactly where he is. They knew exactly where he was. It's deeper than that. It's you have no idea how much deeper it goes.
Well, it's come out recently that Hitler's been alive until all the way into the 70s. He actually survived.
Why not?
So that they could study him for all those years.
Why not?
Take his brain and everything else.
He was the kind of person that commanded millions. Millions.
That's a good point.
Well, I'd
Well,
want to sit
then-
there and pick his brain too and find out what we can learn from him.
Right.
Just being in that, in their situation, I suppose is something I would want to do too.
Well,
That's great.
I'm gonna ask the $64,000 question to both of you because Tiffany, you've got history with DOD, and then Dino with your Facebook page. Who ran the show? Who organized this? Who were the brains?
Anybody we wanted to.
Well, no.
Anybody
No.
we wanted to.
No, I'm saying you're giving me a fall guy. I want to know who per se is calling the shots. Is it? I think this is deeper than the president. I would buy the fact that
Kevin.
Go ahead.
Follow the gun sales. Follow the ammunition sales.
Okay.
And there you will find the rulers of the world.
The root of all evil, huh?
Yep.
Well, evil, I don't know. I guess manipulation. Follow the freaking money.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Follow
a good
the
point.
money trail. Exactly.
Yeah.
The
That's
Rothschild
it. That's
banking
the
cartel.
answer.
That is the answer.
Okay.
You're right.
Yeah, along with
Yep.
the rest of the banking cartels. Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, and that's why all these other countries have been taken down. Look at Libya. They wanted to sell oil. They wanted to sell their oil in something besides U.S. dollars. What ended up happening? We went in, we took over Libya. What happened in Iraq? Iraq started selling the oil in something besides U.S. dollars. So what ended up happening? They went in, they took down Iraq. You know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? All that kind of stuff. It's weird.
It is really scary to think. There's probably half the U.S. will think that our topic of conversation is, we're just, we're crazy, crazy, we're nuts, we're just, we don't get it. And then, the other half is like constantly looking over their shoulder. And I'm starting to, especially now in this whole campaign, when you look at our two candidates, and I know that you're not correct me if I'm wrong, you're not a Hillary fan. I don't know where you stand with. Well, yeah, I'm thinking, what the hell? We come down to these two choices.
They're both a joke.
Right.
And that's one of them. One of these jokes is going to assume power, and
right.
You know what's even crazier than that? One of these two jokes are going to be read into all of the UFO information.
Yep.
Will they? You think? I don't think so.
Well, that's what Grant Cameron said. Grant Cameron said they are the absolute leader of the nation. They know all of the crap that we are restricted from knowing. I don't know. We'll see, because I'm not sure which one is actually gonna push our dirty little secret forward, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right.
Dino?
I think that I think you're right. You're looking at all of this saying there's 326 million that are out there, and we're down to these two.
Yep.
At this point, but it's a tough call though either way, because the one thing that I'm really digging about this is we do have somebody who is an outsider finally that's running, and
that is an interest to me. That really is.
Yeah, me too, because I don't want to see Hillary get another freaking dime, or get another thing that she wants, and the list of bodies behind her keep growing, and I want to see her be gone. Enough of these dynasties that are trying to go on. Right. I'm digging that he's an insider. I'd like to see Tiffany run next time. You know
what though? But Trump is an absolute. He's a media whore.
Right.
I mean, I am a Republican by nature. I have very liberal ideas on some things, but
liberal like the thing we were talking about before the show started.
Amen. Yes, absolutely. I am.
Love it.
And you don't have
Love
to
you.
discuss that with anybody else.
I don't. Inside joke. We'll talk later.
Oh, geez.
That's my girl.
I'm going to have to go to church on Sunday.
Yeah, me too.
Hail
I have
Mary.
to find one. Yeah.
Hail Marys, yes.
Kevin Hail Mary. So.
Kevin, Hail Mary. No, that's very sacrilegious because you are just not religious.
I am. Yeah, there's numbers on my head. Just
Oh,
but go ahead.
You're a done deal.
I know. Tiffany, you remember what you were saying when I cut you?
No, I
No, you
don't.
I didn't. Well, Dino, we've talked 9/11. All right, Tiffany, that was mine. What's your juicy conspiracy theory?
Oh, jeez.
Do I need to play the Jeopardy song while you're?
No,
let me. You sent me some stuff earlier. Yeah.
I don't know. Let me think.
No, hold on. You
That
sent
song
you
was a
messaged
conspiracy,
me.
I think, because it was purposely made to be catchy.
Do what?
Yeah.
I said that song, I think, is a conspiracy because it was purposely made to be catchy.
You'll never forget it for the rest of your life.
You get that little ear bug every time you hear that stupid song.
It is dumb, isn't it? Oh, gosh. I don't know. You know me. Conspiracy is difficult because I just want to talk aliens.
All right. Well, here's a couple things you sent me, Tiffany, and pick one of these. You mentioned Black Lives Matter, $400 million payoff for Obama.
Oh yeah, for the ransom.
Secret space,
yes.
right? The secret space program and super soldiers. So pick one of those. I'll throw it.
Oh, can we talk super soldiers for a second?
Sure. I like that.
That sounded almost sexual, didn't it?
Well,
check this out, Dino. Hold on, Dino.
Fan of super soldiers.
Exactly. Well, check this out, Dino. I'm one step ahead of you. I've already told Tiffany I'm pimping out her voice for $2 a minute for guys that will pay. There'll be people that will pay. Tiffany, just go ahead.
Dino,
we won't bring.
My father made me change my voicemail because he said no father wants to hear their baby girl sound like that. And all I said was, this is Tiffany Mack. Please leave me a message and your phone number, and I'll get back with you. And he said for $1.99, that might work.
Exactly. Did you ask for a credit card number too?
From my dad? I probably should have.
No, on your voicemail. Anyway, let's go. All right, super soldiers. All right, super soldier. It's a great topic. What's your first, Tiffany? Your take first.
All right. So there's a few different ideas that I have when it comes to super soldiers. First of all, I do believe that there are people being used and tested upon. I think that's normal. I think it's part of our military structure and system that we push our men and women to their physical limits. I have spoken to a few people who claim that they have been used by the military in order to perform activities outside of our world. So what I'm thinking is, are there an entire workforce of these people, these soldiers, that are being used off-world? And I know that there have been a few people who, like Edward Snowden, who have decided that what they've read amongst secret files, that there are off-world, or I can't remember the term that he used. Let me think. There are people that are being used off-world. Do you think that it's a possibility? I do. I want to know what your thoughts are because you're hearing all of these, your people messages, posts on your website. Have you heard anything about this? And do you believe it?
As far as the space program, oh yeah, there's been a secret space program, and I know that they've had to have at least some way to be able to deal with probably what. I'm trying to think how to word it exactly, like whatever it is that they're going to be up against. Let's say that they go to some planet and they try to land. A normal human being probably couldn't handle something that maybe somebody has been modified a little more.
let's
Good.
just say let's do something simple. Let's just say the moon.
Okay. As far as being there,
Close
I
to
think
get
that
to, close to, right, correct, go.
Well, actually,
honestly,
hold that thought, Dino,
Right.
because didn't your Facebook page post something in regards to, Chris posted it, where it was Neil Armstrong's astronaut suit, which is preserved in a museum. How
Right.
the bottom of his boot does not match
Right.
the footprint on the moon.
Right.
Okay,
So-
yeah. Well, that's a beginning.
I think that's the beginning. Yeah, I think that they've at some point. I know that they've been there. I know that they've had trouble though trying to get there with some of the first ones. I don't think Neil Armstrong went there. And I'll be honest with you, I knew a guy that actually had some big. I mean, we could probably do a whole show on the moon conspiracy too. But there's a guy that I do know. I run into a lot of oddballs out here in Las Vegas, but sometimes you get some that are pretty legit. There was a guy, I know he's dead now, so I can probably say his name. His name was Jack Thompson. I met him years ago when I worked as a maintenance guy down at Henderson out here. And this gentleman actually had a picture that was on his wall, and he says, "Hey, do me a favor." One day, "What's that?" And he says, "Go on over and grab me that picture, would you?" I was like, "Okay." I walked it over and I picked up what looked like it would just been a lightweight picture, and it was kind of heavy. And he says, and I was sort of surprised by it, and he kind of, "Yeah, bring it over here, would you?" So I brought it on over, and he opens up the back of it, and there's a whole stack of pictures that are in the back of this thing, and they're all black and white, and they're all DOD stamped from all the dates that they were supposed to be on the moon. Well, apparently he was one of the photographers that was there when they actually did the moon landing in a studio, and he's got pictures of people standing there on the surface of it, date stamped from 68 through 71 on the surface of the moon with their feet in tennis shoes, and the back drywall with the screws going all the way on up and everything else before it's been blacked out and everything too. And then they set down what was called the Thompson lander right onto the picture of it, and then they took more pictures of it and everything too. They named it after him, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
I've seen
Now,
the actual pictures
when it
and
comes to
photographs.
that, right, but when it comes to that, what was going on at that time is that we were in a race to the moon,
Right.
and the Russians, the cosmonauts, were really, really just right there. So I almost wonder, it's been mentioned that, we were trying to prove that we'd already been there and we'd beaten them and we were more advanced.
Right.
Were we?
That's a good question.
Is the question.
We could have been there possibly earlier. I don't know how easy it would have been to put. I mean, obviously, something going up in the sky, it's it's some type of rocket. It's always a big, spectacle. So back in that day, it may have been a lot harder to get them, without so many people seeing it or keeping an eye on the rockets and stuff like that and shooting off, unless they were shooting them off from somewhere else in the world that we didn't know about, which I wouldn't put past them. And realistically, they probably could have. They could have done it off of Bikini Atoll or whatever, for all we know. And realistically, they probably could have been up there and already dealing with whatever was going on up there. And so now they had to stage this in order to let the rest of the world know that maybe they've been there, or, and come up with some spectacular thing like this just to sort of show, hey, we're superior and, we have all this stuff going on, but they're actually doing something behind the scenes.
That's a good point. That is a very good point.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good point. Showing to prove that we were already there. Showing that we are there, and you might as well just, get over it.
Right. Exactly. Because if they go
the race
up there,
is over, we made it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Race is over. We made it. Nobody needs to go. There's no reason to go there now. There's nothing to see. Go back to what you're doing. Have breakfast and have a good day. You know what I mean? How they do that kind of stuff all the time.
Right.
Move along. Nothing to see.
Right.
While there's other things going on.
Right.
There's their secret space program that they have going on that's happening now. A lot of people talk about it. They know that it's happening. There's some type of shuttlecraft of some kind that they have that's similar to what our shuttles were before. These things will go up there, and they're up there for what, year and a half or more. Nobody knows what they're doing, where they're going, what kind of surveillance they're running. I mean, they're probably running supplies and stuff back and forth. Who knows? And supposedly they can remote control these things. If they can remote control those, tell me that they can't remote control airplanes to go into buildings.
Right.
You know what I mean? if they could fly
one
around
of the
everywhere
other
up
funny
in space.
things is where did all of the moon rock samples go?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that was
And
one
where's
of
the
the
tape
other
now, too?
questions that people have been coming up with. Where are they? Why can't we test them? I would like to see them. We would like to, investigate this further. Well, they're all freaking gone. Where'd they go?
Right. As well as the movie. What are the parts of the movie? Oh, we erased part of this, or we taped over it by accident. Oh gosh,
Accident,
Obama's birth
this and that,
certificate. Oh, I'm
blah,
sorry,
blah,
did I say that?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, did I say that?
Hawaii? What?
This is my brutal, honest English tonight. How in the fuck can someone like NASA or the government pull the "we lost it" or "it got erased"?
That's
Seriously,
a bullshit line.
I know
It's just
that,
an
and
absolutely.
I get
You
that.
just gotta call it what it is. Call
Right.
it
No, I'm
what
with
it
you.
is. It's just
But
a bullshit line.
you would think that someone is in the meeting room and going, Bob, that's probably not a good idea. They would probably know we were bullshitting them. Can we come up with a little better idea? Like lost in a fire or
Right.
or
better yet, here's
was
the best one for you, Kevin. 911. What happened to the $3 trillion that they talked about the day before?
Oh Jesus!
It suddenly got
There's
lost.
no telling. It's gone.
Oh,
You know what?
yeah.
They used it on caviar and parties.
Oh yeah, and hookers and blow and
Hookers and blow.
pedophilia out on that island with Bill
Pedophiles.
Clinton. And,
Might as well
all that
throw
kind
a
of
few
stuff.
more things in there that are horrible.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there are.
there is some satellite somewhere probably in DC or something that things that we're talking about right now is being flagged like they're on to us. Let's shut them down.
Kevin, what is that list that I sent to you? Bomb, 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 bomb. What other words are we supposed to use tonight?
Oh, I know.
Well, let me ask you guys. What got what got both of you guys interested in conspiracies also?
The reality of ETs.
That
Yeah, that's a good one.
for me, it's the accusations that I manipulate my female companions. That's a whole conspiracy in itself. I personally don't buy into that. I think I'm a straight shooter.
Hey guys.
I'm kind of
Be
getting
advised.
that you're probably a good thing you don't live close to her because she might kick your ass one of these days if she did. If she was closer.
We're in the same city, yeah, but you know what? We're different, but we're also alike. So I'll leave it at that. But we with our show, Dino, Tiffany and I actually connected at the beginning of the year, and through social media that we just happened to figure out that we were both into the paranormal, ufology and stuff.
Was there one
Now,
particular
Tiffany,
event that seemed to open your eyes all of a sudden?
Well, it's really her because right, and I'm gonna this is my segue into letting Tiffany speak as she wants. We do get to share this story every now and then, but I'm a firm believer that when it comes to alien visitations, contact with humans, is that shit doesn't happen to me because it's not in my DNA. I don't have dreams. I don't have visions. I don't have visitations from a entity or being. Now, Tiffany has shared her stories, which I haven't very much convinced.
I've shared tiny bits.
You've shared enough that makes me realize that there's something about Tiffany that is not the same with me. Her experiences is because that's in her DNA. I believe and buy into that, is that there's a connection. Part of me is jealous that I don't get to experience that. Yeah, there's part of me that's jealous I don't get to experience that, but there's also the part of me that's grateful that I don't have to be, woken up at 3 a.m. for company, unless it's different, not alien company. But Tiffany,
unless it's some beautiful, sexy, hot lady from the East
Tinder, yeah, or that
Tinder.
too. Yeah, I'll wake up for you. I would wake up for you, Tiffany. But seriously, Tiffany,
that makes
for
me
Dino,
feel sweet.
it is.
That's our other site, Kevin. That's
That's
our
our
other
other
site we're
show,
not
right.
talking about tonight,
Yeah.
Kevin.
I know. But Tiffany, real quick, can you just enlighten Deano a little bit what you've experienced?
When it comes to ETs, it's been a lifelong issue, but it's in the past few years, it's been ridiculous. The past year, it's actually what got me back into radio. For some reason, I was in broadcast journalism in college. No reason, no rhyme to it, nothing. I did NPR, I worked at Fox, and then I ended up going on vacation and ended up getting hired by the Department of Defense in Greece on a NATO base. And it like there's been a lot of like synchronistic events, things that just seem like, oh, well, that was a great break, or this was a nice move, or what a great opportunity. But it wasn't, I think it's all part of the plan. So in the past year, there's been a huge amount of activity that has been undeniable, and I've not been scared. The past 6 years have been different, but the past year has been overwhelming. The point for me being on this show tonight has to do with spreading a message. The message that we are not alone, humanity is not alone, we are ignorant, unruly children, and we have beings that are watching over us, and some of us more so than others. Some of us have added, let's just say charms. I'll say charms because that makes it sound a little bit nicer, and I'd like to feel a little bit nicer tonight because I had a bad day. So anyway, but when it comes down to it, there are people here, and we are placed here in order to help the transition to the next stage of humanity. Now, that doesn't mean that we are all going to participate in the next stage, but if you are a loving, kind being, there is a place for you. When it comes down to all of this bullshit with war and all of these catastrophes, that's not part of the end game. It's part of the deception. We are being led into a new stage, a new age, and there are people.
You can feel it too. You can feel it in the air almost too. I've noticed that lately.
You can absolutely feel it. There's tension, but there's also this anxiety, and there are people who are trying to bring that light back in and trying to show you the way, but you have to choose it. And the thing is, there's all this freaking turmoil that's going on with our presidential elections. That's total bullshit. There's all these two sides, but one of them is such a freaking reality show, and the other is just a freaking scandal. There is a path, and you have to be able to search through the bullshit to grasp the message, and choose the message over the bullshit.
Right. Oh yeah, you're totally right.
That's
there's a lot of you're right. No, there's and you're right. And there's a flip side of the coin that's out there too. There's I don't know if we have enough time, but there's a flip side to that coin also that's been talking about that there's one side that's for good, and there's one that's here also that's waiting to see if we fail. And it all goes into that, that reptilian thing and all that kind of, they go back and forth and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, but long story short, there's another guy that I know. He's not on this site. He actually has his own, and he's something altogether different individually. So I was looking at your messages, Kip. But so anyways, this guy that I know, he's sending me, shoot me little messages. Cool, we still got more time. I'm like, okay, cool.
we got plenty of time.
There's a whole different. You're right, and I totally get what you're saying. That there's a good side, but there's also a dark side or a bad side.
There is a dark side, absolutely. Absolutely.
And they're out there,
always
and they're among us
the yin
too.
and the yang.
They're
There's
among
always
us too.
somebody fighting.
Right. Yeah, they're out there among us too. And this crap with Soros, when you look at him, okay, he's like the only thing I could think of is because we spun this one off the X-Files, right? So if you ever watch the X-Files, you know the cigarette smoking man? Soros is the cigarette smoking man. Who does the cigarette smoking man work for? Think about it. Who does he work for, and what does the cigarette smoking man do? He's not the all end of everything. He's just there, and he'll always be there. Even if you think he's going to be dead, he will always be there because he's the worker.
Right.
That's what Soros is.
Right.
But he's doing this
That's
for somebody else. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what's happening. And he's part of this. And when you look at him, there's something that's not right about him. And I can't put a finger on it. It's like, I hate to give into that. As far-fetched as some of that stuff sounds with the reptilian stuff and all that kind of stuff, it's something altogether different. But I'm not really sure where I sit on that just yet. You know what I mean? But when you look at him, you can almost see something's just not right about this guy at all. But yeah, he's the cigarette smoking man. And somebody's got him, and he's doing the dirty work for them. Mm-hmm.
Can I tell you something?
Of course.
With my experiences, I have not had an extremely negative entity. I've had a few bad experiences, but nothing that I would relate to that. And when it comes down to it, I would say that there probably are Dracos, there probably are reptilians, but I really don't think that we will end up with them in control. If it comes down to something like that, we would probably become complete and utter servants. And I don't see that happening. I think that there's
But I think we were. But I think
we may have
too
been.
At one point.
We may have been. We may have been. But you know what? When it comes down to it, there are a lot of people who are very elevated and loving people. Think about all of these religious people on earth. Whatever their religion, there are so many people that are very, very loving and good and love the idea of a supreme being. No matter what the supreme being is, there are more people like that than there are evil. And I think that that's probably going to be the key in our survival.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
I got to jump in here. That comment, Tiffany, I think is just as bad as the people who jump on board evil. You're saying you got people who want to get on board with something that is quote unquote good or different. That I'm not following.
Nobody wants evil. Nobody wants evil. Who wants to live in a world of deceit and hate and theft and robbery and murder?
Okay.
Nobody wants to live in that world.
Absolutely. I'm totally with you there. And that statement alone right there is proof that there is no such thing as a loving God. I'll buy into the God thing, but for all of you Christian mongers out there that say, preach the loving God theory, and then when something goes bad, Tiffany, they play the, he works in mysterious ways.
No.
Stop.
No. When it comes down to it, you have free will. Free will. But you know what? People typically choose good. They don't want everyone to suffer. They don't want their families to suffer. Who wants their family to suffer? Their family and then the other person's family and the other person down the road. Nobody wants the suffering. I think that we've got to get past that.
I agree. I totally agree. And then let's jump. Actually, one of my conspiracy theories I want to throw out for both of you is religion. To me, it's a conspiracy. No. Okay. Oh, geez, it's fine.
Go ahead. Tell us
to me,
why.
Well, it's because in theory, what has caused the most, what has been behind the most deaths in the history of the world? All in the name of religion.
For more death. Yep, all in the name of religion.
Exactly.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It does a lot of good things for a lot of people. And you know what I mean? But at the same point, it's very difficult to try and put, let's say, 20 religions.
Well, here, I'm going to challenge you, Deano.
This one's right,
I'm going to challenge you.
That was wrong. That was, you know what I mean?
I'm going to challenge you, Deano.
The problem is most of these religions are based on the similar ideas. For some reason, it's humanity. It's man's love of creating havoc. And that's the problem. It has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with man's jealousy and vengeance.
But the Almighty God, the card that the religious fanatics play with the Almighty God, is the end-all, be-all. He doesn't have ultimate control of. Let me play this card for you. On CNN the last couple of days, they've been showing this 5-year-old kid in Syria. They got pulled out of this the bombing.
Oh,
man.
I got a question for you. Why?
Hold on.
Why are they showing that kid? Okay.
Hold on.
Because he was cute. He was a pretty little boy and innocent.
That's in all. Okay, I'll give you that. All the above. But one thing that you clearly take from the video of the kid didn't shed one tear. The kid was like,
no.
I mean, seriously, he had the WTF look on his face, like, what the hell just happened? He's wiping blood off his face, looking at, and my thing is that if I believed in a loving God, the first people that get in line to be taken care of are kids, the defenseless ones, the people who can't defend themselves across the world. So the whole notion of a loving God is so out the window. Yes, there's a higher power. And now I don't even know where I'm going with this, but anyways, I don't know where I'm going with it.
I lost the train of thought.
I lost the train of thought.
Well, I tell you what, when it comes down to it, this loving idea that I'm promoting, if someone hurts my children,
I'm with you there, Tiff. Oh, it's exactly. It's on, like
kids,
Donkey Kong.
It's on, man. It's on.
Right.
But
you know what?
The whole idea is you're supposed to love your neighbor. And we don't know how to do that. Humanity, we don't know how to do it.
Humanity has gotten to a point, though, where nobody understands what in the hell is going on.
It's always been that way. It's always
but they've gotten into such a. I think more of it's turned on though ever since 911. And I'm not saying that's the excuse for it. But from the time, everybody's been in such turmoil. Yeah, everything has been so effed up ever since. You know what I mean? And it's like they've been in such a turmoil. What's going to happen today? What's going to happen today? Who's going to hit us? Who's coming after? I've turned into a news junkie myself, where I'm constantly like flipping over to my news to try and see, am I getting any feed? Is something happening? What's going on today? You know what I mean? And this has been happening ever since. This is what they wanted in the first place.
Right.
And it sucks to say this, because that cute little kid that you guys are talking about, that cute little kid, I was looking at him too. I'm like, he's freaking adorable. And I'm watching those people walk around him, and they're taking pictures of this kid. Why didn't anybody run up and give the poor kid a freaking hug? Why aren't they wiping him off?
Right.
Why aren't they taking care of him, bandaging him up? They're taking pictures. Do something. I think it was staged, so that you saw it and you felt bad.
Do you? You do?
I'm serious. I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but I'm telling you, I think that's what it was. You know what I mean? I think it was done purposely. Wouldn't you? I mean, come on, Kevin. You'd walk up and you'd scoop that. You see a little kid like that injured. What would you do? You gonna let him sit there and take pictures of him? Let's be real. That's what I'm saying. You're gonna walk up. You're gonna run it up. You're gonna scoop the kid up. You're gonna give him a big old hug. You're gonna tell him how everything's gonna be okay. And you're gonna wipe his face. And the little kid's just looking at everybody like you said, saying, "What the?" You know?
Wow, Deano, you say that, and now I think about the video. To your point. The guy did kind of just shoved him in the back and immediately backed off so that the camera could catch him. I would have. You're right. I would have been there. Yeah. Oh, wow. I didn't look at it that way. But you're right. I would have been there.
This stuff is so manipulated, you guys. It is so manipulated and taken and processed for everything that we're supposed to see and do. And I'm being real. I mean, think about this. Like, did you ever see the interview with the Jane Velez Mitchell and was it Nancy Grace? And they were claiming that, and this was, God, what the hell was it? There was it was some big to-do that was going on at the time. And these two sat there and they claimed that they were in like cities that were thousands of miles apart. Here's Nancy Grace. Oh yeah, and over here, this is what's coming in, and this is the reaction of what's happening with this. And you're watching a yellow bus come by her, right behind her while she's interviewing. And let's cut over to Jane Velez Mitchell and see what's going on over in New York. And she's okay. So then Jane comes up, and Jane says, "Yeah, over here tonight we've got this, and here comes the same yellow bus that was just behind Nancy Grace." And then 2 seconds later, you see another one that's coming through that was just behind Nancy Grace. And then they cut back to, and you're watching the traffic come around. It's the same. They're on opposite ends of a van, lying to everybody. This stuff is so manipulated for people to see, and they don't figure this out. It's crazy. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen anymore.
You're ruining my Anderson Cooper moment. I'm
oh my
straight.
God, did you see him disappear on the green
Anderson
screen?
Cooper guy. What's that? What was that? I'm into the crazy.
Have you seen him disappear on the green screen?
Yeah. I just think Anderson's a legit guy. But to your point, it's it's media news. Media news is ratings, and I think the sooner we all grasp that is what also just annoys me with every disaster that happens, or Orlando or any of these deaths, or anyways, when they play the highlights, they add the little soft piano music to kind of like play with your heart and mind. I'm like, just fucking stop. Just show me. Just tell me what you're going to... Yeah, exactly. And you're right. It's really sickening how... Yeah, I don't want to hear a Josh Groban song in the background of the...
I know. Oh, look at the shooter, and the people are killed, and you hear the piano music going on in the background. You're like, what are you talking about? Come on. Yeah.
I'm like, is it... You might as well fucking have played Christmas music with the...
Exactly.
Anyway, so... Tiffany, what else? What other conspiracy notions you got in mind? Oh, here's one I want to throw out. I got it. And it has nothing to do with you tonight, Tiffany, but I want to throw it out. What's your take, Dino, on how the government handles the whole marijuana thing? Tiffany, I know you got a smile on your... Tiffany's got a smaller face. No, I'm being serious here because it is recognized as a miracle drug.
Okay, let me try it. Let me try it this way. Watch this. Watch.
Good.
I'm just kidding. That was my beer. Anyway.
Bog water. We got our first bog water. Soundbite, Tiffany. Oh my God. Bog water. Yeah.
No, you know what it is? I look at it like prohibition.
Okay.
I look at it like prohibition. They had to have a constitutional amendment made to stop drinking, correct? At one point.
True.
So when they realized that they were gonna end it, they had to make a constitutional amendment to allow it again, to say this is null and void. So legally speaking, from a constitutional standpoint, I don't think that they can actually tell you it's illegal without making a constitutional amendment against it, if that makes sense. They might be able to try and ban it or by state, but I don't think the government can physically tell you legally. And I think if it were challenged,
put your ass in jail for it.
Right, but I just don't think it's been researched enough in order to be able to be fought properly, if that makes sense. I'm not saying I know how to do it.
Well, maybe
but I'm just looking at it. You know what I mean?
Maybe that's why it's coming back. Maybe that's why there's so many states that are aiming for legalizing. It's so stupid. We have alcohol that kills people every damn day, whether it's through drunk driving or just being a freaking alcoholic. It happens every day. How many people do you know personally in your entire freaking life? I don't know how old you are, Deano. How many people have you ever known that have died of smoking a little bit of marijuana?
Oh my God! You know what's funny? They don't want to go out and go driving. They're too tired and hungry to get up and go anywhere.
That's right. They're
it's just my own experience.
They're hoping to God that Taco Bell has delivery service.
I know. I'll tell you what. The last thing I want to worry about is a stoner down my street. What are they? They're going to get too stoned and tired and hungry to come on over and bother you.
They're going to stand. Well, they may come over and see if you have any potato chips.
Right, that's about it. What are they going to do? Rob your potato chip stash? You know.
Exactly. If they can figure out how to open your door.
Exactly. I'll tell you what. I would take a neighborhood full of stoners before I would a neighborhood full of alcoholics.
Oh man.
The alcoholics are trying to avoid the meetings. They're getting pissed off. You know what I mean? The stoners are at home too tired and hungry, and they just want to hit your fridge, and that's about it. They'll probably fall asleep in their couch until they get through with it.
What do you mean? They're like, what do you mean? You don't have any snacks? Well, I'm going to go serenade John.
And be like, dude, we're not going to that guy's house. He didn't have a whole lot of money and no chips.
No chips. That's right.
He's got no chips or cookies.
No chips. No chips or cookies. I guess.
Or what?
I don't
what
know.
About a? Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Kevin, did you forget where you were going to say?
No, I was. Yeah, actually, I did. So. I kind of came back from my little
drinking that bong water.
Yeah, that was great.
You drinking that bong water, are you?
Did you put some ice in it?
Well, actually, that sound you were making is the sound I was just doing in the other room, but in the bathroom. Yeah, what have we? Let's see. What have we not talked about tonight?
Well, we haven't talked sex. No sex tonight.
I don't know. Is there a conspiracy? There's a conspiracy with sex?
Yeah.
Actually, there is a little bit.
There is.
There is a little bit.
All right.
Oh, well, I'm game. I'm game.
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
I was reading some stupid article here a couple of weeks ago, and you're reading one thing and it's got a link to another and it's got a link to another. You got nothing to do. You're sitting around bored. So I was sitting there reading this, and it said something about something to the effect of humans to replace each other for purposes of relationships and sex within the next 25 years. And I'm like, what? I'm like, come on, get out of here. So I was like, being stupid, I clicked it and I started reading it. And they started going into, everybody knows the Japanese are crazy, right? And these people have got some really screwed up stuff. Their game shows and, they're all kinds of stuff. It's pretty interesting, wake up cutely and all that kind of stuff that they do. Man, Japanese now have tried to perfect the idea of sex and relationships. And what they did is they started with the men. I don't know how they're going to go with how they're going to do it and work it out with the women. But all the men that are disgruntled with women, what they're trying to cater to right now is to come up with a lifelike, realistic, movable, posable, eventually speaking, lifelike doll that you can actually have, own, and keep. You can order clothing for it, so you don't have to go to the mall and shop for it. This thing will pose. It will turn. It has sensors to understand that you're around it, you know what I mean, or acknowledging it, and all kinds of stuff. It was the most bizarrest thing I think I've ever seen in my entire life. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I was like, no, these things can't be that lifelike. So dumbass me says, okay, let me hit the link at the bottom of the page and see what else. Hey, why not? Some Asian chick. Let me see what it's going to look like, right? Here's me.
Asian
so
chick.
I go through and I start.
I'm part Asian.
And
watch it.
Hey, we love Asians over here. It's all good.
Yeah,
my wife's Filipino. It's all good. But
for the record, my mother is 100% Thai. She's from Thailand, and to this day, I still get her to say, "Mom, tell Dad right now, love you long time." She won't play along with me. She won't. And I'm like, Mom, just tell Dad, because she met Dad during the Vietnam War. I'm like, Mom, look at Dad.
Oh, no.
$5. She won't do it.
We love you long time.
Exactly.
I love you long time.
I am
That's
a
hilarious.
sick son. That's what, yeah. But anyway, so. we're all over. Tiffany, did you burp?
That was it.
Did you really burp on the air?
I may have. Did you hear me?
I didn't, but we have listeners tonight. We do have listeners tonight.
Hey, how many? One,
we do. We have several actually, and actually, Dino, if you're okay.
That's why your daughter's so beautiful, isn't it? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's the tie thing. So that's why I'm half beautiful, because of the tie thing. I grew up eating fried rice. I'm one of the only people. It's probably safe to say I'm one of the only people that, on Thanksgiving or Christmas Day, where we go over to, when I go to my parents, that there is chicken fried rice and some Oriental meals dishes waiting for us there that just kill it. It's enough of me.
Please invite me, because I would love to experience that.
I got you covered.
If you like me that much, just
yeah, I'll tell Mom. I'll tell Mom you're coming over for. Yeah, I'll tell Mom. Right. I'll tell Mom you're coming over for dinner soon. But let's, Dino, if you don't mind, a friend of ours is going to call in, or actually is calling in, and he is, in his past life, was a fireman. And Remy, correct me if I'm wrong, you were part of the whole 9/11 thing, ordeal, correct, Remy?
That is correct.
Remy, welcome to the show. Deano Burke is on with us with the Conspiracy Conversations. Remy.
Hey, Dino.
Hey, bud.
Hey, Tiffany. Hey, Kevin.
Hi,
hey,
Remy.
First, I want to say how you guys. I loved you all a long time.
He's listening.
Like we knew you would, brother. Like we knew you would.
In case there was a test. In case there was a test.
In case, right.
I've been listening to you guys, and I tell you, like, Kevin, I got about 50 different angles I could throw at you from different things that you've mentioned and that Tiffany's mentioned and that Dino's. I don't even know where to start. Seriously.
Well, start at number 1, or you could start at 50, but don't start at 25.
Okay, let's start at number 1. Okay, number 1. Okay, we'll leave 9/11 for afterwards. Okay, but number 1, let's go to the church conspiracy. Okay, I have to say I agree with Kevin with regards to the fact that you just got to look through history, right? Church has always been responsible for wars, etc. Right. And you know what? Listen, I was brought up Roman Catholic. I went through the whole private school, etc. My mother basically hammered it into me until I was 53, which was a couple of weeks ago. So, no, she still mentions it, but not as much. But what I was going to say is that, to me, church has always been about fear, okay? And that's the reason why all these wars have been caused, okay, as far as conspiracy is concerned, because they put the fear of people, the fear of God into people, literally, okay? And that's what causes this, okay? So that's angle number 1. Now, I'm going to be flying all over the map here, right? Because there's so many things that you mentioned here. What do you want me to talk about next? Throw one at me. Throw it. The X-Files? How about this? Okay? When I was in the Grand Canyon, okay, I don't say this to too many people. I mentioned it to a couple of my friends, but with all the Perseid meteor shower that I saw, let's just say I saw some very funny activity over the canyon during the middle of the night. Okay, as far as what I deem as mysterious craft flying across. What looked like a meteor seemed to move differently than a meteor. How about that? So I agree with Tiffany on many things with regards to that. That, you know what? Let's say this first and foremost. We are definitely not alone. And when you go to where I go to, in the middle of nowhere half the time, you feel that way. Okay, there's no way that we are alone. Anyways, somebody jump in here. I feel like
I was going to say, Remy, we're not alone because you've joined us tonight. So
that's
good.
It. That's why I feel so comfortable, and that's why I want to love all of you a long time. That's exactly why I feel this way.
All of us. That includes you, Dino, because that's how we roll on this show. All right.
He's
good. I don't need an age style.
He's part of the crew, so I gotta be fair.
Yeah, I gotta be fair. Actually, there's.
Okay. When it comes to Remy, tell us about your personal beliefs when it comes to 9/11.
Okay, that's thank you for. I was going to touch upon this, but I will tell you, from someone who was there while all of this was going on. One of the things I would, when it was happening, I would phone home and I would tell friends, because don't really listen to everything you're seeing on CNN. And I'll tell you why, because having a firsthand account of what was actually going on, let's just say that everyone there believed that it was deliberate, okay, that it was something that other people definitely knew about. And let's just say that I have a lot of experience with regards to demolition and construction in my life, just from the firefighting and from other things as well. And one of the first things I thought to myself, and I mentioned to a few of the other guys there, the way the towers felt collapsed, they'd look like a controlled demolition. And what I mean by that is you literally had 22 stories of debris, okay, from these towers stretched out over 5 city blocks. Okay, that's how wide and vast the debris field was. But it was incredible to see it just completely fall down in unison, if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's just say that was the number one, theory as to what happened when I was there. Okay, this is all they were talking about, to be honest with you. They were flat out saying there's no way. You know what I mean? Like, and years later, you hear all these conspiracy theories, if you want to call them that, about the fact that it was a controlled demolition and that. Well, having been there, yeah, that's what it looked like to me. Okay, which takes away from the actual aircrafts hitting the towers, which they did. Obviously, we saw all this. Okay, but for the mechanics of how these buildings collapsed, it just didn't look right. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, and one thing I was going to mention. Sorry, Piff. One thing I kind of popped in my head when you were talking about you guys were talking about CNN and with regards to that young child and etc. Hey, listen, I saw firsthand, and I'm not going to mention the station, okay, that was basically orchestrating a shoot, okay, while I was at 9/11. They were filming a part of one of the towers where I was, okay. And again, media had very limited access with regards to the ground zero, okay? So they would pick and choose where they would film from. And it was amazing. I remember overhearing this and kind of looking at the producer and the cameraman. They wanted to film an angle to send to people how devastating and terrible this was and how, how many firefighters are missing and stuff. And literally, this is what they asked to do. The shot that they had, okay, they wanted us to put our fire hats on the ground in the shots to make it look like those firefighters are missing, if you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Okay. Uh-huh. Now, people on CNN or whatever station would have looked at this and gone, "Wow, look how terrible that is." The fireman had his helmet blown off. Look, it's sitting right there. So, yeah, I agree with what you guys were saying earlier, that a lot of these things are contrived. And with regards to that young child, Kevin, before you even mention it, that's exactly what I agree with you upon. Okay, to me, when I first saw it, it looked like something that was orchestrated. That's my opinion too. So.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, you and I live in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm not sure if you were here. Have you been here for the past 20 years, Kevin?
All my life.
Okay. Well, back in, I can't remember. Let's see. Do you remember the movie Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone? And okay. Well, we had a demolition, and we were actually able to see the process. We knew that it was going to happen, and in our news media, we were all watching it. That's what it looked like. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was very orchestrated. It was very like boom, 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 and it all came down right on top of each other, and you're just like, that. It's very orchestrated.
Well, you just have to look at basic physics. Okay, for example, when that plane hit the first tower, okay, you can only imagine the from an engineering standpoint, the amount of weakness to the particular part of the building. Now, that occurred roughly 80 stories up, okay? So you got to figure that the top portion of the tower, which was roughly 102 stories high, okay, was compromised. Now, you would think the weakest element would be for it to topple, okay, on it over, as opposed to collapse in its entirety. Now, there's all kinds of things. The other thing too, like one thing I've mentioned this to many people since I returned. I was able to see the steel girders that actually supported the towers. Okay, now these steel girders literally were about 10 feet in diameter. That's how thick the steel was. All right. When I saw, and they carted away most of this debris somewhere on Long Island. They had this huge place where they were going through all the debris field, one piece at a time, etc. But to see steel girders like 100 feet long, okay, like and 10 feet wide, look like spaghetti all crumpled up. To me, again, being a scientist as well, very suspicious, and I'll tell you why. Because there's a lot of heat that needs to be generated in order to bend metal to that degree. And if you want to get into the physics of this, yes, a lot of the fuel from the aircraft was dumped down the elevator shaft. That's what they're saying created the amount of heat generated, which basically incinerated a lot of the people at the bottom. But you're looking at aviation fuel, fully ignited, is about 1,800 degrees. It takes a lot hotter temperature to burn metal than 1,800 degrees. So what caused the amount of heat that was generated in order for the building to collapse the way it did? Now, I just heard some X-Files music in the background. That's the way I was just listening here. Anyway. But no, it's true. You know what? That's something, in all honesty, sorry, Kevin McCoy, that's something that really always annoyed me, okay? Because I couldn't believe the ignorance with regards to that. What's that?
The X-Files music annoyed you?
No, I love the X-Files music. You know, the truth is out there.
Hold on.
We all know that.
Let me make a quick comment here. This is for us right now. The live portion of the show has ended. We were live until midnight Eastern time. We are still recording. So this last whatever time frame we're talking is for the lucky people who upload the show after the fact. So we're having fun here. But you know,
you would call it bonus coverage. Bonus coverage. That's what it is.
No, with Remy and Deano, I'm calling it boner coverage tonight. Boner.
Oh, I'm gonna love you a long time.
Boner coverage because Remy loves me long.
Boner coverage.
Tiffany, I don't know if she's hearing this because she said she had to take a potty break because we talked to each other.
I'm sorry. What was that? I'm sorry. I just got that.
I told the guys that at midnight we shut down the live portion. So this was like
the
for the people who
portion.
Well, actually, one of them said this is bonus coverage for the people who upload the show, and I said no. With you guys, it's boner coverage tonight.
Oh no! What's going to happen next?
Exactly. Tiffany, you've had a rough week with the hubby, so us guys are here to comfort you. Just say it.
Well, he just came in and he laid down on the floor like he's interested.
Interested in? He wants you to love him long
time. Yes.
Put him on. I want to talk to him. Put him on the phone.
Would you like to? Do you want to?
Please. I haven't talked to my man Chris. I miss him. I love Chris.
Would you all like to see? Okay, Kevin would like to hear Chris right now. Yeah, Chris. Yes. Christopher will be on in 10 seconds. Okay. All right. 1 second, please.
Listen, all right, guys, be nice to Chris. All right, yeah.
Get on. You're going to be on there. They want to talk to you. This is the just ended live broadcast, but it will be on for next here.
Okay, this is a conspiracy. This is orchestrated. I don't believe it.
It's all orchestrated.
It's all orchestrated.
Hold on, I'm here.
Chris, is Chris there?
What's up?
Chris.
Yeah, Chris, this is me. I just got off work, man.
My brother Chris, my Dixie wrecked.
Yeah, I'm thinking about wearing that shirt tomorrow to our block party. Pretty sure.
You do it. I want to come and hang with you, man. I miss you.
Well, I'm thinking about if I ever get a boat, that's got to be my boat name.
I
love to roll down the river with people, especially kids, looking at the phrase "My Dixie Wrecked." That's gotta
He
be
had this shirt. Yeah, he had this shirt that said "My MY DIXIE WRECKED." I thought that was, me being a fan of Beavis and Butthead, I thought that shit was funny. So,
yeah, I thought it was kind of funny. I thought it was so funny that I went out and printed one and actually ordered it and shipped it to my house. It's
not only did you print it, Chris, you put your name on it too.
I did put McGahee. Yeah, I did. I really did. Yeah, I just got off a 11-hour shift, so.
I know.
Yeah, I'm good to go. I'm good to go.
Are you trying to wind down? We got to hook up, man, to have some beers. I want to.
Yeah, if we can ever get the babysitters, we get out and get a couple beers. That would be fine with me for sure.
I got you hooked up, man. We're wrapping up. We're talking conspiracy theories tonight. Whether you believe them or not,
was talking about,
there's some legit.
Too. Yeah, definitely.
Give us one conspiracy theory that you buy into. Don't make me play the Jeopardy song.
Probably not the huge ones that everybody else has been talking about.
Don't matter. Go ahead.
I mean, really, recently, I gotta go with the money spent to Iran from the government. That's gotta be something.
That's a good one.
Oh yeah.
A little bit.
That's
I know everybody's been talking about it, but it's so recent that I've been kind of reading into that, and that doesn't seem normal to me. I didn't think we negotiated like that, so I'm thinking it's
we're not supposed to.
Conspiracy. Well,
right. Now,
it might be an offset of something else, another deal or something that they actually had to pay. I don't know, but it's got to be something than what's on the surface for sure. I'm sure there's something deeper.
Right. The bottom line there, whether it's a conspiracy or not, whether the Obama administration say it's not ransom pay. But the timing couldn't be any worse for this, because I do buy into the fact, Deano, Remy, Chris here, that the U.S. had to. This is based on history of events. We owed OWED them this amount of money. Now, did we say, okay, we do owe you this money, and we'll pay it right now, contingent on you handing us over those? Yeah, I can see that. Now, is that per se paying a ransom? If we owed it to them, I don't think it is paying a ransom. It's just using it as leverage. Right?
Right.
Yeah, but at the same time, how do we owe a terrorist nation anything but an explanation that if you keep this shit up, we'll kill you? You know what I mean? I'm just being real.
That's what I'm saying. It's got to be deeper than
what
is in the media right now, for sure. It's got to be some kind of it's a lot thicker. There's a lot of layers to the cake, I'm sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Absolutely.
But that's just off the top of my head. That's what I've been reading about. I'm not into it as much as my wife. She studies the stuff and researches. I just kind of go with what's recent. That's you asked me, that's what I've been thinking about. Is there's something controversial about $400 million being spent, cash money, on a freaking airplane handed to another person from Iran.
Oh, and there's more than that.
I don't see that.
Yeah. And it's even more than that too. I think they said on the news tonight something about it's over $1 billion, 1.5 billion or something. They were supposed to pay.
I would doubt it. I would not doubt it.
Wow.
I'm sure that our nation couldn't need that money over here in the United States helping other people.
Well, here's the thing too, because
sense the
correct me if I'm wrong.
There.
And that's not just sarcasm. That's a good comment or a good question. Is that where did that money per se come from? Because it was delivered in all euro. It wasn't American currency for sure, but did that come from the U.S. or did that come through NATO or Deano? Remy, do you know that?
No, I have no idea. I thought from the picture shot that I saw, they didn't specify anything specifically, but I thought it was U.S. dollars. And they were.
It was actually. It wasn't.
They
showed it. It was. Yeah. It was not U.S. currency for sure. They showed it. They showed images. I saw that it was like euros and whatever. But
yeah, it was something about it was a specific plane, and it was either ours or there was American money or whatever it was.
Right.
But they were looking for this confirmation from us specifically in the U.S. for this thing to land, because they knew it was coming in before they would release those people. And that's what the whole thing was. The thing had to be on the ground and stopped before they would let these guys go and let
there's a possibility that they traded our currency in for euros because they specifically asked for euros. And I don't know.
I mean, could have. Right. That's a good point, too.
You know?
Right. Well, at this point, who trusts the U.S. dollar anyway?
Chris,
I'd like to trade all mine into U.S. for euros.
Chris is pulling double duty tonight. He's coming from work and then gets home and jumps right into this podcast.
I literally just got off the road from River.
I know you did, brother.
Over by Dixie Highway, streamed on over here and jumped right in the show. I mean, I'm going full out tonight, man. I'll be working on a 12, 13-hour shift tonight.
He's the man. Wow, Chris.
That's all right. We're getting 2 kegs. Here, let me just sum up my morning. 8 o'clock in the morning, getting up, going 4 doors down, putting up a couple of canopies, as well as a very large tent because it is going to rain. Then immediately, when Liquor Barn opens at 9, I am going to take my car and my friend's car, pick up a keg each and a lot of ice, and then go ice down kegs for the neighborhood to come over and start probably drinking around maybe
10 a.m.
No, we gotta let the kegs chill. Jeez,
she knows them.
Good Lord. I gotta fucking find my way over there tomorrow.
I don't know, man. It's gonna be. Well, I'll tell you what. It's been raining so much this summer. I knew it was gonna rain, but we kind of prepared. We got a lot of canopies. I mean, it's gonna be a wet, rainy day, but it's also gonna be raining beer and fun. So I think we're gonna be okay.
I hear you, brother. Chris has got it under
control.
It's
all good, man. I'll be there in the morning to give you a hand with all that beer. Yeah. I know you don't want to lift it by yourself.
Those kegs are heavy, man. I can pick them up.
Don't want you to stress or don't want you to strain something bad there. You know what I mean? You just want to make sure to give you a hand.
I'll be doing some 12-ounce curls after I strain myself.
Exactly.
There you go. He's the man. All right, well, Chris,
man, it's great talking to you all, man. I've never done this before, and it was kind of fun. I liked it, but man, I'm about to crash, to be honest.
I know, Chris. You know what? Anytime you walk in and Tiff's still on the phone, can get on and say, Kevin said I can talk to him when I come in. So you have the right. I want to talk to you, brother. I miss you. Just saying. I
know it was fun when I hardly ever go out. That was a fun time. I used to go out one before we had a lot of responsibilities and stuff. But it is fun to get away and kind of cut loose, man. I swear it's kind of something that you miss, getting a little older for sure.
I know. I can relate.
Responsibilities. I hate being an adult.
I know. What is that phrase? Mi casa, su casa, our house, your house. So anytime we're doing a show, crash it. We'll have fun.
I will, man. If I can get home early enough, man. Sometimes it varies, but I appreciate you having me on. It was a fun time, man.
All right, see you. Tiff, are you back?
I'm back on.
We'll wrap this up because I know Tiffany's got to go. She's got. Yeah, there. Did you hear that? Dino, Remy, can you interpret that sound?
Yes,
Remy, do you know what he's doing, Remy?
Totally. Come on, you don't think up in Canada we know what to do to have fun either? Jesus, come on.
Oh shit, you guys got it wild up there. It grows wild up there.
Remy,
exactly.
Remy.
Yes.
Remy, you're from Canada, eh?
Oh my God, Tiffany, you just reminded me of. Tiffany, you just reminded me of something. You just reminded me of something. You remember the little kid? Did you see the little kid where he's on there going, Linda, honey, stop, wait, listen. Linda, stop, wait, listen. Do you remember, mate? Do you know that one? Have you seen that crap? The little kid, he got in trouble by his mom for eating the snacks or whatever it was, or that grandma gave him the snacks. And she was like, okay, I'm going to whoop your butt. And he says, Linda, wait. It was hilarious. This little kid, I'll send it to you.
Oh, the little kid. Oh, on the video. No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Linda. Oh, I'm going to look it up.
Linda.
I'm going to do that.
Send it to me.
Yeah, you didn't detect Remy's when he said sorry or
No. I know.
Those.
I didn't say anything like that tonight. When did I say sorry?
Sorry.
You said sorry. You said sorry.
I don't sound like a little bird when I say sorry. Hey,
Remy. Okay, so tell me, Remy.
yes.
There it is.
Have you ever partaken of the cannabis?
Okay. Well, yes. That's a simple answer you want, or what?
It's a yes or no question.
Okay, listen, Kevin knows. I'm a huge listen, in my lifetime, okay, you gotta understand something. I grew up in the 70s and stuff. The number of concerts I've seen in my life is, I can't even put a finger on it. I've seen everybody. Okay, you name it, I've seen them. All right,
okay.
And of course, you've seen Rush, who's Kevin's favorite band.
I love Rush.
Yeah,
Rush is
My
awesome.
favorite.
Kevin, I always wanted
band,
to.
Yes.
I always wanted to tell you. You know the album. It was a live album, All the World's a Stage. Okay, it was recorded in 1974 at Massey Hall. I was there.
Exactly.
Oh,
right.
Shut up.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Remy, you don't look old enough to have been there.
No, well, you know what? We're talking
Remy is older than me.
I'm actually 677 years old. You just guys don't realize that, you know?
I do like that
planet.
about you, Remy.
I'm from another planet.
You're
immortal.
That. You're immortal.
And I think I told you guys last time, I'm only 35 on Mars, right? So that's
yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. And the fact that your age, you're only dating late 20s, early 30s chicks, something like that.
That's my boy.
That's a little bit high. That's a little bit high.
That's my boy. Dino said, "That's my boy."
You guys are making me raise my eyebrows.
Oh, don't raise your eyebrows.
I'm getting a little shocked.
Don't raise your eyebrows. You'll get character lines. You don't need that.
Now look,
I know. I
Tiffany get wrinkles when you do that.
Now let's give credit where credit's due. There is I do 3 podcasts a week. My favorite podcast is the Friday night when I know I've got that beautiful lady on the other end of the line, and we're just having a good time. She's not only is she physically attractive, once you get to know her, she is beautiful inside and out. She is seriously one of the just loveliest people that you can get to know. So if you all have paranormal stuff and you all want to shoot it with her, she'll talk to you. But yeah, there's no one lovelier in my life. Actually, there's not, because there's no significant other actually, Tiffany, you're probably the closest significant other I have right now. Aww, except for the Tinder people that I connect with. But other than that, you're my constant.
What I've been involved with. And you know what? Stupid people don't use words appropriately. So there.
No, there you go. Good point. Good fucking point. Now, granted, tonight will be tough because I don't know how much I'm going to have to edit out this. I'll probably have to edit out a lot of this last part. But
I don't think so. Why?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess probably not, but I don't want to sound like
it's been a fun show. This has been a fun show.
I'll tell you, this has been from the Dino. You've come on and that's what Tiffany and I and actually we connected you with Messenger too. We were like, Tiffany and I correspond during the show. We'll messenger each other. We'll be like the flow. All right, who's going to ask the next question? This and that. Right. And we were just like, wow, tonight has just been great. We didn't, man.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought initially, oh, Elias not coming on with us tonight might create a void. And then, but I actually messaged Tiffany early and said, I think we're going to be fine without him because
we did
carried it. So good stuff.
Yeah, Dino, you did great tonight. Having Remy on was awesome. We love Remy and we love Dino. And I'm telling you, if we get an opportunity to have Chris on again, that would be awesome too. But tonight, it was a good, fun conspiracy / bullshit show. Fun to talk, fun to get your ideas out, fun to, there was a little confrontation, but that's good to have,
What was the confrontation?
Right. Yeah, what was the confrontation?
Well, there's differing ideas. Just Not really
I don't know.
confrontation,
Were
like,
we
I'm
in
gonna
a
beat your
defense mode?
ass,
I didn't
but,
feel like we were in any defense mode, were we?
well,
Oh, wait a minute.
I'm
You were
I
talking
think-
about. Oh, I know. Dino, Remy. I know where she's going. She's still upset the fact that God is a male and not a female.
I don't know. I've met a few women that thought that they were God many times.
They thought it.
They thought it.
It's
but I
not.
don't
That's
think
not. Yeah, the real world, Tiffany. God is not her or she.
Hey,
God
what
is
if God
he.
was one of us?
Let me see you pop a kid out of your cock.
she
that would hurt.
used the cock word on me. Oh.
Go right ahead, fellas. Try it. And if you can't pop a kid out of your cock, try to get cut open from hip to hip, because it ain't fun.
Shit.
And I've done it
Oh,
twice.
man. She played that card.
God. Oh,
You know,
God.
guys, for the record, I tease Tiffany routinely when we do our shows. I'm like, Tiffany, if we can incorporate the word cock or pussy into the show, let's do it. Okay, she's incorporated cock. I didn't incorporate the P word, so I'll leave it at that. So she put me in my place.
I'm usually
She
not
played
just
the
that. I'm
pregnancy.
sorry.
She played the pregnancy card. What are we gonna do? We can't. We gotta respect. We gotta respect her. She birthed her
Dude,
kids.
I'll play the pregnancy card. I'll play the ET card. I'll play the Supreme Being card. You can go right ahead. Try to fight me.
Fight.
Tip, are you our age or are you?
Remy may be able to withstand. He's pretty tough.
Hey Tiff, I got a question for you. Are you the RH or you O?
RH
That
negative.
you're kind of talking. You're the RH negative. Okay, that's what I thought. I know what you're getting at with that. Then there's a guy that's here in town. Seriously, his name is Jeff. He's on. He's starting to do another show on other nights. He's got a website. I'll send you a link for you to see if you can't get into some of his stuff. You got to take it with a grain of salt, but listen to but just read what he's saying. You know what I mean?
Right.
And some of it looks like it's way the hell out there. And I'll be honest with you, I don't take a lot of his stuff seriously, but I look at it and
I read everything
really,
with a grain of salt.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. He's out there. I got Chris in on him too, and we'll both we'll send comments back. I said, "Damn, did you see what Jeff posted?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Damn, that's crazy." You know what I mean? Kind of
What's
stuff.
his name?
His name is Jeff Ilsher. I'll
Send
you
us a link
to see if I can't hook you up on this. Yeah, I'll see if I can't hook you up on there with it and bring you in on there like I did with Chris.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got some bizarre. He's seen the stuff like about the reptilians and the what is it, the Hoover Dam stuff that's going on and all this kind of stuff about how there's a Stargate that's over in Hoover Dam and all this kind of stuff. He's like out there, you know what I mean? But
let me tell you, first of all, when it comes to the negative entities, I have a big question, because there's a lot of things that I've experienced, and I'd say 95% of the things that I've experienced have been positive or indifferent. Right. When it comes to, we had a guest on when we first started, and I'm telling you, this dude scared the absolute crap out of me and Kevin, and we were like, dude, we need to end this show now. And when it came down to it, I swear to you, he's full of shit. The negative aspect that he's conveying, it's inaccurate. It cannot be possible. I have never experienced the kind of shit that he's talking about. Is bad, bad, bad. He actually had us pull his show because it was so negative. Kevin, what did you think about that?
I thought it was a good show as far as the banter or the controversy as well, but there was clearly something going on with him, because once I did go back and listen to the show and was doing some editing, I could sense the unease of him during the show, the anxiety, right? And so I guess from his perspective, I had to respect it. I think we did shut the show down, but now I tell you what, at 12:27 a.m. on the Eastern time zone, if Deano or Remy said, "Oh, I need you all to take this show off," I'd be like, "Fuck you." Just saying. You're not going to get that. We've been on for 2.5 hours. This is good stuff.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Right.
I
do.
Well, let's.
Remy, where are you located right now, Remy?
I'm in beautiful Port Credit, Ontario.
Ontario. Okay.
He's home.
All right.
And Deano, you're home in Vegas?
Yes. Yep. Las Vegas, Nevada. Yep.
Damn, I was there last week.
What?
Mm-hmm.
You were?
I was in Las Vegas. Tiffany, you know I was there.
Put your blinker on.
I thought. Okay. I guess I was. I'm drunk.
Where were you at specifically in Vegas, or Deano? Or Remy? Where were you at in Vegas, Remy?
Well, Vegas is my kind of like starting point when I do my canyon stuff. So I fly in and I stay at the Aria in Las Vegas because those are my friends over there. And then I get my car and I drive from there to Arizona and Utah. And then when I come back to Las Vegas.
You got that?
My stomping ground too.
What's that?
You and Remy need to hook up.
Yeah.
Oh, out here in Las Vegas. Hell yeah. I'm always down.
Deano,
I'll be back there. I'll be back there at
out.
the beginning of October.
Deano, don't do it.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't do it. That dude will wear you out to the point where you'll never come back.
Oh,
no, I think it's the other way.
I'll be back next week. I'll be back next week for your next Friday show.
I've got to say, Deano, you came on tonight and you absolutely brought it. It was such good information, good stuff. As you will be able to see on Facebook, you got a reaction from Tiffany. Check out the photo that I posted. Something we said caused Tiffany to take a picture of a reaction. It was probably something to do with, I don't know what it was something to do. But anyway, and then Remy's our guy. Remy, real quick, share with Deano, what is your bio? What are you all about so he knows how you kind of fit in?
Well, you know my bio. I'm shy. I'm a shy guy. You want me to tell you my bio? You do a very.
You tell him. Yeah, you talk.
Oh, well, okay. Adventurer. Yes, I'm a adventure trail runner now. I do a lot of charity work. I'm a retiring firefighter. I'll be done by the end of the year. Close to 30 years in a job in Toronto and a paramedic, actually an exercise physiologist and nutritionist as well. And someone who loves life and is learning to live life and trying to teach people to do the same thing.
And you trust no one.
I trust nobody, okay, except for you guys.
You trust me.
I told you.
You trust us.
I trust the crew. I trust the crew.
Check this out. Remember when we did when X-Files rebooted those 6 series and I did the shows to it was the night after we would do a recap of those shows because I'm a huge X-Files fan. Deano, you called in. You were part of the shows. I don't know, Remy, if you ever called in, but yeah, those X-Files is huge to me. So I did podcasts totally dedicated to the reboot. And that's how I got to know Deano through the X-Files thing. But Deano's got a lot. Deano's part of Remy. Deano's part of the X-Files Facebook group page, and I'll send you that page because I'll get you hooked up. Yeah. That's a conspiracy page that. So I'll send that to you. But here we are, 12:32.
I've been a fan since day one.
I have too. 93.
That was literally probably the only show that I ever watched, right from the very start into the very end.
Me too.
That I can honestly say that I ever did. Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's probably the only one. Never again. Except maybe Desperate Housewives. That was something different, but you know.
What?
Hey, maybe one day. Hey, Kevin. Maybe one day I'll tell you about meeting Gillian Anderson.
You know what, Gillian Anderson? I don't care what anybody says. She's fucking hot.
That's what I'm saying. When I met her, she was very hot. Seriously, very nice woman, very polite.
She was beautiful back then, and she's even more beautiful now.
Yes. Good Lord, I would like Tiffany. I'd do Gillian before you. Just say.
That's because I'm married.
Exactly. It's out of respect. You know, I'm not going
to. Probably pretty big.
Right. Whatever. It's all right. I got other takers. It's okay.
You got other things. All right, fellas.
All right, guys.
We killed it tonight. I want to thank Deano Burke, who's part of the X-Files Facebook group page, Remy Michaels, who is a near and dear friend to the Shooting from the Lip family. He comes on and shares with us all of his good adventure stories, and in this case tonight, he shares with us some real life stories that he got to live with 9/11. So, and Deano, you'll
probably the most fun show that we've done.
One of the and Deano will talk. Right, Deano will talk because the truth is, Tiffany, you know this, that there'll always be some conspiracy conversations. So, depending on topics that we talk about, I might be calling Deano to say, Deano, come on during the last part of this show because we're talking whatever topic and there's a conspiracy angle. Tell us what you think about it. Exactly. So, good stuff tonight.
There you go.
Yeah, we were all on the same page. I promise the next time you come on, I'll have an audio of my mom saying "Love you, long time."
I would love to hear that.
I do, and of course, she just looks at me like I'm flipping crazy. Like, why are you making me do this? Why are you making me do this again, Kevin? You do this all the time. Because I'm a sicko, Mom. It's because.
You got a problem, dude. Problem.
Kevin, if you do that, I want pictures before and after she does it.
Deal.
I want pictures of what you look like before and pictures of after she said it.
Well, she doesn't do it to me. She doesn't do it. I would be bringing in my father. I don't. That might be. I don't even want to go there. That visual. But Tiffany, good show tonight, right?
Absolutely. Oh my God, yeah.
How are you feeling right now, Tiffany?
I'm feeling a little bit more sober.
Were you partaking?
Hey, Deano.
Yes.
One more time.
Bad week, dude. I had a bad
Deano. There it is. One more time. That is.
I'm gonna leave y'all with that, and I'm gonna go hit the bone. Okay, so good night.
At no time were any animals or people hurt during this presentation of Shooting from the Lip.